Hello, callers. Welcome back to Viva Barca and welcome to another interesting episode where we discuss on some interesting updates. We start with Eric Garcia as Girona director, talking about the Barca stars' deadline day switch. They didn't want him to leave, he admitted. Then, secondly, in this episode, we talk about this report claiming that XAVI is impressed with this 16-year-old Barca defensive prospect's maturity. So guys, as we get right into it, please do ensure to subscribe, turn on the post bell notification to always stay notified whenever I post a new video. Consider liking the video and please watch it right up to the very end. Speaking at a press conference, Girona Sporting Director Kike Cassel has shed light on how their attempts to sign Barca defender Eric Garcia on loan came to fruition this past summer. The La Liga club were keen on signing Garcia to replace Santi Bueno, with manager Michel in particular a big admirer of the 22-year-old centre-back. However, Barcelona had been reluctant to let the defender leave on loan late in the window, something that Cassell has now gone on to acknowledge. Indeed, Cassell has claimed that Barcelona were not in favor of letting Garcia leave, which is why the deal dragged on until the late hours of deadline day. Eventually, though, it was the player's desire to leave on loan which helped the operation go through. Eric went right up to the last moment. The operation was complicated because Barca didn't want him to leave. He wanted to come, and that shows the type of player he is. He wants to be important and to feel like a footballer because he is in a growth process. After the departure of Santi Bueno, his incorporation has helped us a lot. If Eric hadn't arrived, we wouldn't have even signed anyone else because we have a lot of centre backs with contracts. Only a few days ago, Girona manager Michel has expressed his delight at having Garcia at his disposal, calling the 22-year-old one of the best when it comes to building up play from the back. He said Eric can play in any position in defense, also as a pivot, but in my mind, it's all about build-up play and what he can bring to us. In this concept, he is one of the best players in the world, and that's why we want him here. Judging by the words of the manager and the director, it is clear that they place a lot of faith in Garcia. It is now up to the 22-year-old centre-back to make the most of his stint at Girona and return to Barcelona as a much improved player so that he can push for a place in Xavi's lineup. Indeed, that's the goal, isn't it? Going out on loan and try to see how he can improve and hoping that he will be counted upon next season when his loan spell comes to an end. Of course, we saw some late deals on deadline day talking about the departures. And I think, in fact, the last week of the transfer window was really an important one, I would say, because when we look at the departures, Barca's, in fact, four players left Barca. Four players. We're talking about Ansu Fati, who left late, Garcia as well, leaving late. We saw Clement Lenglet leaving to Aston Villa as well. I mean, it was a week where I think those departures were very important for us to even bring in the new players who came very late on deadline day. Talking about both Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix. I think it also helped a lot with financial fair play. Had it been those players never left that late, it could have been a big problem for Barca to finalize those loans deals because we saw those two new players coming in and immediately they were registered with La Liga. Barca took no time to register them and they were able to make it for the squad against Osasuna last Sunday. Talking about Eric Garcia, this report is saying that Girona are quite happy by the player's decision to join. Of course, we saw Garcia pushing for a move towards the tail end of the summer window. We saw XAVI trying to convince him not to leave, saying that he still is an important player in the team. But Garcia is not a fool. Garcia knows for sure that XAVI does not rate him quite highly. You know, that's the honest truth. And it is quite understandable. He's still 22 and he wants more game time. He wants to develop as a player because he knows very well that if he sits or if he stays at Barca this season, he could have still been warming the bench throughout. And we saw it last season, majority of the time, Garcia was a bench product and he never wanted to continue in the same way this season. Then on to the final story of discussion. Barca's famed La Masia Youth Academy has churned out top talents over the years that have gone on to become the main stars of the first team setup. There was a brief lull in that trend for a few seasons, but recent years have seen Barca once again bank on the wealth of La Masia to replenish the first team resources on a regular basis. Ansu Fati, Balde, more recently Lamine Yamal have all made big splashes at the senior level and more are knocking on the doors of manager Xavi Hernandez. One such talent who is on the cusp of first team breakthrough is teenage defensive prospect Pau Kubasi. Indeed, Sport reports that Xavi sees the 16-year-old centre-back as a mature player despite his age and has shown great confidence in him. Kubasi has been with the first team setup regularly in recent weeks and has even been named in the matchday squad in the last two games against Villarreal and Osasuna in the absence of Araujo. Meanwhile, Kubasi has also been registered in Champions League squad for the group stages and will very much likely act as the fifth choice centre-back for the team following the loan exit of Eric Garcia. So guys, with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.